Colin receives $262 for a basic working week of 40 hours. Calculate his basic hourly rate. Here, our goal is to determine Colin's basic hourly rate. So how much is he paid per hour? Now, in order to do this, we're going to divide. And so we have $262 divided by 40. Now, what is $262 divided by 40? Well, that's going to give us $6.55. And so that means that his hourly rate, or the amount that he is paid per hour, is $6.55. Next, it says Colin receives $262 for a basic working week of 40 hours. Overtime is paid at time and a half. Calculate his overtime pay per hour to the nearest cent. So here our goal is to determine how much is he paid for overtime. How much is he paid for 1 hour of overtime? But we have to make sure that our answer is to the nearest cent. So here we have to determine overtime pay per hour. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 1.5 and we're going to multiply it by $6.55. We use 1.5 because it says here that overtime is paid at time and a half. And we use $6.55 because that's his hourly rate. That's how much he's paid per hour. And so we have 1.5 multiplied by $6.55. And when we multiply them, we get 9.825. Now they want our answer to the nearest cent, which means that we only should have 2 numbers behind the decimal point. Currently we have 3. And so we have to round. Notice that we have 5 here, and once it's 5 or above, we can round up. So that means that we're going to add 1 to 2. We're going to add 1 to this 2. And so that means that our answer is $9.83. And so the amount that he is paid for 1 hour of overtime, correct, to the nearest cent is $9.83. Next, the question says, Colin receives $262 for a basic working week of 40 hours. Calculate the amount Colin earns in a week when he works 45 hours. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to determine the number of overtime hours that he worked. In order to determine the number of overtime hours, we're going to subtract 45 minus 40 gives us 5 hours. So that means that he worked 5 hours of overtime. Next, we need to determine his regular pay. His regular pay is going to be how much is he paid per hour, $6.55 multiplied by 40, and that gives us 262. So he is paid 40 hours for his regular pay, right? Rather, he's paid $262, that's what I should say. He's paid $262 for his regular pay. That's if he works, whenever he works 40 hours, right, for a basic working week, his regular pay is going to be $262. Now, we need to determine his overtime pay. We know his regular pay for a regular 40-hour week is $262. But what is his overtime pay? Well, his overtime pay is going to be how much is he paid for 1 hour of overtime multiplied by the number of overtime hours worked, which is 5. So it's going to be $9.83. That's how much is he paid for 1 hour of overtime multiplied by 5, which is 5 hours of overtime. And when we multiply them, we get $49.15. And so that means that his overtime pay is $49.15. Next, we need to determine his earnings in a week, which is going to be his regular pay, which is $262, his regular pay, plus his overtime pay, which is $49.15. And when we add those two, we get $311.15. And so that means that his earnings in a week is going to be $311.15.